There have been many firsts in my life, of course, in my career, but I certainly was not the first woman financial commissioner of the railway board. There have been many, path breakers before me, and I salute all of them for breaking the glass ceiling and making it possible for people like me to ascend to very high levels. Having said that, I thank you for this opportunity to speak to all these young people who aspire to the civil services. I'm very excited to be talking to them about this. I believe in sharing knowledge, and I therefore immediately connect with the very name of your organization. Now speaking to these young people who are connected to us on this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, I know you people have already sort of made up your minds to be in the civil services, else you would not be here. Many of them would have already decided to do that. Some of you may be on the fence, wondering whether you'd be able to do it and what it entails and what it's all about. First of all, and you would have Googled it and you would have wanted to be a civil servant right from the time you were in standard 6 or 7 or maybe later. You know what it's all about. On a very personal level, as an individual who has to, earn to sustain, it's a very good place to be at. It's a good job. You have job security, excellent salaries, all right? You have status, you have privilege, you have perks, everything is there. So that is for the personal level. But something beyond this, do waqt ka khana, as they say in Hindi, can be earned any which way. It's not so difficult to do that. You can make ends meet. What's so special about the civil services? You're part of this great country, you'll be part of the government of India, of our great country, India. And whether we have applied our minds to it or not, I assure you that patriotism probably ranks among the highest, next probably only to our love for our mother. And even there, I have my own doubts. You will be serving in the government of India and doing all those wonderful things that you would ever have done for doing for your fellow countrymen. You would be part of that setup which actually runs this country. The politicians, the political masters, they are the ones who make the policies for us. But you would be the girls and guys who would be implementing these policies. And there are so many wonderful things that you can do for other people. That alone, I think, would be the best possible reason for joining the civil services. I'm sure all of you have already thought about this. And apart from the big romantic notion of being an IAS officer, and that is only one part of this whole setup. There is this thing that you can do for every other person around you. So this definitely is the place to be at, and I would strongly, I strongly commend you people for having taken the first step toward it, to decide that you're going to take the civil services exam and make it. Please know that civil services is not just the IAS. There are many other services. It's called the IAS, and it used to be called the IAS and Allied Services. The exams used to be that. The civil services exams are about 25, 26 different services of the government of India. You have definitely heard about the administrative service, the IAS. You have heard of the police service, the IPS, the foreign service, the foreign IFS, not to be confused with the other IFS, which is the forest service, for which UPSC conducts different exams. UPSC has civil services exam, engineering services exam, medical services exam, and exams for the forest service also. So the first thing that you people should know and should start out is, when you want to make a career, what are the options out there and how do we go about getting these things? Now, civil services, who conducts the civil services? What is it all about? What are my chances? Those are the things that you have to have clarity about. It's not an easy exam at all. I would go so far as to say that it is the most difficult exam conducted in the country. It's really a long haul sort of thing. You would have to spend anything like 10 to 12 months on this exam, but it's the process. It's not that they're going to ask you very difficult questions, okay? Something that you cannot handle. That's not the a problem here at all, if I can call it a problem. It is the whole process. So you need to know before you get into anything, what am I getting? You have to ask this question, what am I getting into? In this current age, I took the exams 40 years ago, okay? When I did that, there was no internet. Computers were really not such a big thing at that point of time. And whatever we learned was only from books and libraries, word of mouth, our neighbors taking the exam, so on and so forth. Not so now. Now is the information age, and all you have to do is, and you don't even have to own a laptop. You don't need to do that. All you need to have is access to a place which has these laptops. Now, that is what hopefully this organization is going to be doing to you, giving you information, sharing information, helping you with, by telling you where you can get this information. So in this day and age, as I was saying, when computerization is attained all kinds of, zeniths, and in this age when internet is allowing you to see and learn about anything and everything under God's blue sky, you should find out what the civil services are about. All right. You should go through the UPSC's website. It is an ocean of information. It'll tell you, you don't need to see everything there. You only need to look at what it says about the civil services. All right. What is the format of the civil service examination? How does it, what are the various stages that are there, and how you are going to be handling that? So the first thing, therefore, is to know about what you're going to do. I'm going to take this exam. The exam runs in this format. The preliminary exams are conducted in such and such month. I have to wait for so many months to get the results. You should be very, very clear about that. Before you should tackle the problem by knowing about it. So that is, trust me, it's very important for you people to know that. Please go ahead, spend a few minutes there. Once you do that and you decide, yes, this is for me and I'm going for it, the second thing I would ask you to do is, straight off, without wasting any more time, after you get out of the webinar, pick up the nearest newspaper you have with you. You go online, get it from the library. I don't know if we are all still getting newspapers at home because of this COVID situation, but it is quite all right now, I think. So do make it a point to pick up the nearest newspaper and start reading. Your preparation starts with that. There is no way, I think, whether it was 40 years ago when I took the exam or now, there is no way you can crack this if you're not up to your current affairs. This is what it is good. It's not like it's going to test you on current affairs and things like that. See, what is that? When you think about your collector in the district, or you think about some administrator or an income tax officer, what is that you expect that person? You expect that person to know to be aware of what is happening around him or her. You understand? You don't expect him to be not aware of developments and things like that. So it's very important that those are one of those things that the exam tests you on. So you should therefore start reading the newspapers straight off. That is then action point, I'm telling you, right? Like pick up the newspaper and start reading. That's an action point. Having done that, then you have to prepare your mind for this whole long 1 year that you're going to be spending on the civil services examination. To do this, you have to prepare your mind first of all. Okay. To read these, when you go online and you start reading about the civil services, etc., your mind will boggle at the numbers that will get thrown up. How many people take the exams? When I took the exams, when we all took, there are several IAS officers here on board here. When we took the exams, less than 1 lakh people took the exams. All right. Now, 10 lakh people take the exams. And the jobs that they have applied for is 750 plus, maybe 760, not more than that. 10 lakh people. Now, when you think about that, you will be completely overwhelmed and straight away you will lose hope, right? 10 lakh people taking the exam, 100 jobs. What are my chances? I'm not going to make it. Let me not waste time. But hey, stop right there. That is not. That is the first thing you have to work on where the mind is concerned. And that is, these numbers are of no relevance. You are one person and you need that one job. So 760 jobs you're giving others, one job alone you're taking, right? You can do it. See, the thing is that 10 lakh people apply for the preliminary exams. Do you know how many people actually come to take the exam? Straight off, the drop-off rate is 50%. Less than 50% actually come and take the preliminary exams. I know of this because I bothered to Google before I came to find out what actually you guys are handling. You guys and girls are handling. 50%, excellent. Straight off, my chances get better by that 50%, right? 50%. And of the 50% who take the exams, so we are talking about 10 lakhs and now about 5 lakhs taking the exam. 10, all of them don't go on to take the main exams. They all pass, they'll appear for the exams and then they drop out. 10,000 odd people get selected to take the main examination. All 10,000 don't come for the exams. Again, there are dropouts. All right. So the point I'm trying to make is twofold actually. One is that there are a large number of dropouts. So the numbers are not really, they're still overwhelming. They're still magnificent. They're still enormous. All right. But given our population, the size of our country, right? It's really not much, right? So you don't worry about those numbers. You go ahead and see those numbers. Let it overwhelm you for some time. You think about it, digest it, and then throw it out. Because you are only targeting one number, not anything else. 762 la yanakku onnu. That's it. All right. That you have to do that, number one. Number two, the point I was making is 50% of the people drop out. Don't psych yourself into being one of them. Don't do that. All right. You should not be doing that. You have taken up this exam. Idu oru yagyam madri pananum. All right. You should, it's oru tapasya madri idu pananum. Because civil services, for all those magnificent things that you can do, and for all the status and prestige and privilege it's going to give, it's not going to be easy to come by. Illana, every other person will be in the civil services. Illalya. So adukku nariya kashtapadanum, nariya prayatnam panna. I hope people understand Tamil when I speak in Tamil. I'll try to avoid the vernacular. You have to make a lot of effort, okay? You have to make a lot of sacrifices. All things good and beautiful in life don't come easy. You have to work for it, all right? You have taken the first step of making the decision of getting into the civil services. Now you have to work toward it. All right. You've all heard of the story, right? Of that man who was being washed away in the by the river. The river was in Spain. A man fell into it. He was a very devout man. And so he prayed to God, God save me, I don't want to die. So the God doesn't come and save him, and he finally dies. What happens when he's rushing down the river, flowing river? He comes across a big log. He could have held on to the log and he could have saved himself, right? He did not do that. So he rushes, he just gets pushed along. Then there's a huge boulder in the path. He should have held on to the boulder. He does not do it. He is pushed along again. There's an overhanging limb of a tree. He doesn't take help of that also. And therefore he meets his end. When he goes to God, he asks God, how much I have prayed for you, God. What a devout man I was. Why did you not come and save me? So God says, son, I tried to help you in 3 different ways. All right. And see, you did not do that. I was the boulder there. I was the limb there. I was the log there. You have not you've not helped yourself. I was there. You did not do it. So the point of the story is that opportunities knock on the doors. It's for us to recognize that and for us to take advantage of that, leverage it to our benefit. All right. So in this civil services exam, when you have to do tapasya of that kind, there are many sacrifices you'll have to make. You're all young people, much given to, going out for a cup of coffee with friends, and that cup of coffee will spend 4 hours in the cafe coffee day. You may go to a movie, let's go to the mall, we'll do this. Buddies, all this has got to stop. It will have to stop because you've got to study. There is so much. It's not like they'll give you a question, one textbook, and they say, oh, you read this and all the set questions will be set from this and you can answer. It's not going to be that. This is all very application oriented sort of thing. And the more you read, the less it is. There are two approaches. You know a lot of things. You need to know a lot of things about a few things, and a few things about a lot of things. Both work. And to do that, you have to study. And that studying is not for 1 hour and 2 hours. It just won't work. I'm not trying to scare you up. What I'm trying to say is that do not get into something which you think is going to be easy to come by. You have to work hard for it. Stay focused. You have to stay focused. 100 people will come and tell you about 100 different books, 100 different study material, all kinds of things. If you keep on getting distracted by what everybody says and you start taking everything and start reading everything, you will not be able to attain that goal that you have set yourself. You decide what are the books, and these things, again, everything is available online, and I'm sure the institute is going to guide you in that regard. You will have all the study material with you. You will know all the books that have to be read. All those, stick to them and learn from them. When I was taking the exam, publications division, there is something called the publications division of the government of India, okay? There's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. They used to publish, and I discovered today that nothing has changed in 4 decades. They continue to publish that Yojana. They continue to publish Kurukshetra. They continue to publish economics and what weekly is the other one? I had written this down somewhere here. Economic and Political Weekly or something like that. These are magazines which are published by the government of India. Authentic material coming straight from the horse's mouth. You don't have to worry about whether it is true news or false news. You should read magazines like that. We used to read Competition Master. I don't know if it's still there. Competition Success Reviews, and definitely two newspapers. And because I studied in Chennai, I went for Indian Express and the Hindu. And then you have to also, it's a good idea to read something in the regional language. If you know Tamil and you can read the Tamil newspaper, I read those Tamil newspapers. You know why? If I miss the news and I have not read for the last 15 days, something happened, you read when the column starts, the first few paragraphs about what happened before. It's like seeing a serial, no? If you see any episode on the serial, it says iduvarai or what happened. I mean, like, previously on. It's like that. So you get a good, if you read those newspapers, you get a good idea of what has happened in that particular matter. So I strongly recommend you do that. Read these magazines. Don't read anything more. Newspaper end to end, reading even who the editor of the paper is, where it is published, you must read everything. So do that. All right. No distractions. Life is of sacrifices. It's not a big deal. It's only 1 year. And what is 1 year in a lifetime of 85, 90 years? Really not much. That much all of us can afford to spend, I think. Right? And you'll ask me, what do you mean 85, 90 years? This is lateral thinking. This is what you have to do. 40 years ago, life expectancy was 67, 68, like that. Now it is such, maybe my numbers are not right, but it was X number. Now it is X plus 10 number. We see, at least, in families which are doing well, people living to be 100, at least 85, 89. 85, 89, we don't think is very old now, right? So your thinking process should be like that. It should be lateral thinking. It has to jump from subject to subject to subject to subject, and everything that it jumps, you should know about it. All right. So when you talk about life expectancy, I'm talking about nutrition. I should know everything about nutrition. I don't have to be a nutritionist, but I should know about nutrition. I should know about the major food groups and how much you require. You should know about the micronutrients. You get the general drift of what I'm trying to say, right? That's the approach you got to take when you're strategizing and all that. The next important thing would be time management. You can't just be all over the place, reading, studying, anyhow, any which how and what. Your preliminaries, I understand, comprise 2 papers, General Studies 1 and General Studies 2. And there are specific topics also. The UPSC syllabus is something you must just, it should be like a dissolvable vitamin C tablet in a glass of water. You should put in that, stir it till it's fully mixed, drink it, pour some more water in it, drink it so that there are no dredges there. That is how you should know the UPSC syllabus. All right. A first preliminary, and with God's grace, when you clear the preliminaries of the optional subjects and the other subjects that you take, you should know the UPSC syllabus very, very well, so that you know what you have to read, how much you have to read, and all that. Timetabling is absolutely crucial. You should timetable, and you should set aside targets for each. This particular part of this syllabus, I am going to finish in 10 days. All right. 8th day, you would be reviewing. 10th day, you would have finished it. And while you were studying, please take notes, not necessarily copious notes, but definitely notes to which you will go back for revision. You don't have to go back to the source. That's very important, because like I said, it is such a long drawn process. By the time you finish that particular subject, it's quite likely that 2 months have passed. So you need to remember what happened 2 months ago, also what you have studied. So these sort of strategies, which you have definitely, you're all straight, probably many of you are out of college, probably not so much out of college. So you have done these things in your college. You just have to ramp it up a little bit and take it to the next level where intensity is concerned, where intention is concerned. So you need to do that sort of thing. You can, like they say, all work and no play is not good. You can schedule, like when one is dieting, they'll have cheat days. You can probably eat a chocolate or a very rich cheesecake or something like that. You can also, but that also has to be scheduled in your timetable. So I am going to take a break off. All right. Now, another very good source for studying, I would say, would be NCERT books. I totally swear by them. NCERT books, whether it is the 6th standard books or textbooks or 12th standard textbooks, they are the way to go. Absolutely. Do not forget to do that. Get NCERT textbooks and learn from them. Okay. If you go to the UPSC site, you will also find all the old question papers. You can download all the old question papers also. UPSC preliminary exams. You download them, see how the questions are. Okay. Be overwhelmed, get over it, and start working on it. Okay. So as you study, you will set yourself tests also. This is what your training center will also be doing. But it's very good to know for myself where I stand. There is no time limit. There are 2 hours given for those 48, 50 questions, I think they are. It should be possible to clear them pretty okay. All right. All this information I got in the last 2 hours from the UPSC site. You can do it also. Download, you look at these old question papers and learn from them. All right. Libraries are the places to visit. There is no need to spend a whole bunch of money on buying a whole lot of things that are not going to be of great use later on. If you don't have younger siblings who are going to follow in your footsteps, you can of course give them away, but library is a great resource. You should frequent libraries. Study materials, whatever is being given, etc. I was telling about this, no going out, no cinema, no drama. So now we have to talk about no social media. All those things are, with changing times. Those days we were not allowed to go to movies and visit friends and all that. We had neighbors who were taking these exams, and that uncle and auntie, except for me and my sister, nobody could visit them. Nobody could. He would stand at the door and say, daughter X, daughter A is not here, daughter B is not here. Illa. And we would know very well. They would be screaming, but no, he would say, no, illa, you go. Because he didn't want them to stop studying, okay? She eventually, one of them decided not to take the exam. The other eventually got rank 38. All right. And if you're wondering what my rank was, mine was 124. I don't know why I was not in the IAS. I opted not to be there for very personal reasons. Okay. So these are the things that I want to tell. And before I sign off on my talk, one last thing, and the mother in me is going to say, and that is, do not neglect your health during this time. Because the most important thing is to stay healthy these 11 months, because if finally you're going to be sitting there writing 3 hours each of 2 plus 7, 9 papers, okay? 27, and those 27 hours are the most crucial hours of your life. You want to make it. And for that, you have to build up your physical and mental strength. எழுதுறதுக்கு என்ன ஸ்ட்ரென்த்னு கேட்கலாம். You may ask, what strength do I need to write? I suggest that you ask somebody to read out to you and start writing 2 pages every day. Do that. This will put you in the groove of writing, because you have to write reams and reams. Even 2 questions which are compulsory in general studies, say question 1 and 5 or something are section A, section B compulsory, okay, and 150 words each is 5, each section has, I mean, each first question has 5 questions. 15 verses, 750, 1500 words, that is 1500 words, this is 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, I think. It's not going to be easy just suddenly sitting, and that's why you have to do this prayas, this practice you have to do. So you get into the groove of starting. You should start writing also, because you are not going to be typing anything anymore. Nothing is online. These are written essay type questions in the main exams. All right. Adukku preparation, you hope to clear this preliminary and go there, no? Adukkum preparation ingikku aarambichu. Start the preparation right away. So good food, try avoiding outside food at this point of time, because you don't want to have the runs, you don't want upset stomach, you don't want to fall ill at this point, because every day you lose is 16 hours lost. It will set you back by that much time. So do not eat outside, eat good food, sleep well, and exercise. Half an hour exercise, listen to your music. Definitely exercise is important. Sleep is very important. You don't sleep well, and if you don't get your 7 hours sleep every night, you'll go to the exam hall. And I know somebody very, very close to me who fell asleep writing the exam, taking the exam. It happens. You're so exhausted. You won't be able to do that. So what's the point of 1 year of hard work if you're not able to take the exam? You have fallen asleep at the desk, right? So these are the few things that I wanted to share with you. I had a wonderful career. I am ever so grateful to have joined the government of India. It took me to places I wouldn't have gone by myself. Why would I go to some place like Tinsukia, which is, right across the country, somewhere in Guwahati? Probably I would not have gone. Going to Guwahati and then being transferred to Trivandrum, and from there going to Delhi, and from there going to Baroda. I mean, it has been a magnificent, fully paid tourism development corporation. Wonderful personal life, I'm telling you. And I was in the railways, taking care of the railways. Once a railway man, always a railway man. So deeply in love with the railways, you will fall in love with the organization. A great feeling. And when you are happy inside, you are happy outside, you are happy with everybody, you make your surroundings happy. What more do we want in life? And all this is towards that only, no? Happiness. That's what we all seek, right? So let's go ahead and do some good. You guys and girls have a great life and career. Start studying, and remember, you can crack it. Good luck and God bless.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rangarajan. It's been wonderful, really.
Thanks, sir.
And I am sure every point of it was very, very good and most helpful and informative to the students. It's a wonderful direction. Thank you very much. Now, I request Mr. Raj, able Raj, to say something about the civil service. He will take 10-15 minutes to give the presentation. Over to Mr. Raj.
I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible to everybody? Everybody can tell me if my screen is visible to all of you. Dr. Manjula is saying yes, I think so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You were muted. Okay, let me
Yeah,
go ahead, guys. Congratulations, all the young people and maybe the parents who are here. And I'm just going to run you through from. I'm going to begin very fast and then I will slow up as I go along. Okay, title this presentation as Call to the IAS. What it is, where it is headed, and your prospects as a civil servant. I speak as Associate Dean of the Know Knowledge Network. I'm an interdisciplinary thinker and a social scientist for the last 15 years. And before that, I was in the IT industry. And before that, I worked as an architect. So I come across 3 different fields. So this is a passion for me to teach general studies along with a small team of my friends. Okay. You can reach out to me anytime, not only at the Know Knowledge Network, but also the Center for Public Leadership at Zoetic Cognitive Ventures, which is an LLP. So we strongly believe in public leadership and raising public leaders who are thought leaders. We need public intellectuals to go into the public forum of India and make a transformative impact for the nation. Okay, let's start with what is the big picture? What is the big picture about the IAS? I'm just going to start there. Some of the things that Dr. Manjula was saying, I might just go through it in passing. Let us look at this quotation from David Rockeford and Roger Cobb. Only those policies that are widely perceived as doing both what's right and what will work will cross untroubled political waters. So policies, that's the key word I want you to notice, as doing both what is right, policies that do what is right, and then what will work. The policies must also be workable. They must be practicable and pragmatic. They will cross the untroubled political waters. So that is a challenge for an IAS officer because you're going to be involved in implementing policy, in consulting with others as the policies are being made by the politicians, selected MPs and ministers and the Council of Ministers and who else not. Okay.
Pardon my interrupting, Dr. Abel Raj.
Sorry,
might you want to go to the this thing, the slides? Would you like to?
Slides are not moving.
Yeah,
the screen. Yeah.
You're not able to see the screens?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's only one slide on screen. You might want to, do the what is it called? Screen slideshow.
Slides.
I have the slides on screen.
The
Yes, but the slides are
slideshow
not
is
moving.
not there.
Yeah,
Slideshow is not there.
Slides are not moving.
Not
Yeah.
there?
You
Not
could
in the
start a
screen.
slideshow.
Yeah, well, let me just do that again. Try that again.
Yeah. I'm sorry to have interrupted your flow.
No. I'm thankful for you. Is this all right now?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you very much. Yeah, I think I shared the wrong window.
Okay.
So as Dr. Manjula was also saying, you class C the.
Sir, I'm not doctor. I don't have a doctorate. Sorry. I'm
Okay,
Manjula.
Ms.
Yeah.
Manjula was saying, thank you.
Yeah.
So as it's not just the IAS, there's much more to it. And there are non-technical services, there are technical services, there are health services, there are railway services, there are para-defense services. I think I need to stop the multiple sharing because people trying to.
You have to go to more and
No, that's fine.
disable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the technical, there are health services, there are non-technical services, there are railway services. As she was mentioning, Manjula was mentioning, there are para-defense services, there are central secretariat services. So you can classify them into 6 main services. And let me start with the non-technical services. Examples would be, what do you mean by non-technical services? These are responsibilities laid down in the Constitution. For example, the Indian Audit and Account Service, the Indian Postal Service, the Revenue Service, Indian Customs and Central Excise, Central Information Service, Indian Economic Service, Indian Civil Account Service, Central Labor Service, Indian Legal Service, Central Trade Services. There are so many Indian Inspection Services. So you get a flavor that there is so much more to the civil services than just the IAS that we are talking about. Okay. So when you say IAS, the Indian Administrative Services, there are so many other central services that are associated. And we know that according to your rank, you have a choice of picking up from any of these things, of these many, more than 25 odd services that are there. Then there are technical services. There's another group of services. The Central Power Engineering Services, Central Architect Services, Central Electrical and Mechanical Engineering Services, Central Engineering Services, Central Water Engineering Services, with the Meteorological Service, the Geological Survey of India, the Border Roads Engineering Service. So that is also something you can see. Then moving on to the railway services, and Manjula mentioned that she really loved the railway services. Once a railwayman, always a railwayman. So what do we have here? Inside the railways, you don't have just one service. The Indian Railway Service of Engineers, the Railway Service of Mechanical Engineers, of Signal Engineers, of Electrical Engineers, all belonging to the railways. Indian Railway Store Services, Indian Railway Medical Service, Indian Railway Protection Force, all of that. And then there are para-defense services, a group of services come under the Ministry of Defense, like the Defense Aeronautical Quality Assurance Service, and the Defense Naval Armament Service, that's regarding the sea. Then the Defense Research and Development Service, the Indian Ordnance Factory Services, and the Indian Defense Account Services, Military Engineering Services, Armed Forces Headquarters Civil Services. So that's also a group of services that you're there in the central services. And then the Central Secretariat Services. Now, these provide the permanent setup in the Secretariat of the central government. Now, they consist of directors, deputy secretaries, under secretaries, section officers, stenographers, and clerical grade. I'll explain more about the hierarchy of these things so that you can get an idea of what your placements are going to be, how actually you're going to climb the corporate ladder as you get into the civil services. So this is a strong framework for the government of India, the Central Secretariat Service, and a delivery system for policy making and monitoring, and review system for implementation of policy. Okay, so that word policy, you can see that keeps coming up again and again. And the Central Secretariat Services are interested in giving you that. And now let's move on to the most famous things that we actually know about, which is the All India Services. Now, the All India Services actually breaks the federal structure because this is neither the central services alone, nor this is the state services alone, but they are All India Service in the sense they are recruited by the Union Public Service Commission and trained by the central services, by the central government, but deputed to the cadres of the different states. And they are also now and then inducted back into the central services. This was an idea of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, where he said that if we have a kind of service where it bridges across the federal structure, and it is highly centralized, but also serves the states, then there is going to be more of national integrity. So it is one of the features of the identity or unionized nature of the Indian government against the federal structure of the Indian government. Okay. There are three authorized by the Constitution, and they are common to both the central and the state governments. One of them, the famous is the Indian Administrative Service. The next is the Indian Police Service, then the Indian Forest Service. Now, the Constitution mentions an All India Judicial Service, which hasn't been formed. Okay, let us look at the IAS, the successor to the ICS or the Indian Civil Services. Now, the ICS was that legendary steel frame of the British Raj. Now, the steel frame literally means a steel frame because it was unbreakable and held the British Empire together in those days. And so the British Raj was something that was running on the steel frame. And it was a very famous one, the most important among all the services in India. And partly because the advantage the IAS enjoys over other civil services in pay scales, faster promotions, or partly from job content of positions IAS officers hold. So that's why the IAS has become very famous over the other civil services. But as Manjula told you, and I'm telling you again, there are more than a quarter century of different services that are to be found. The IAS is a Mandarin type of service that's similar to that in Britain, France, and Japan. What do you mean by a Mandarin type of services? Okay, officers are selected by open competitive exams But the Indian IAS officers different from others in the mobility of the officers. See, they not only work at various levels of government, at the center, at the state, at the local bodies, in public sector undertakings, but they also move across different ministries and function to a larger extent than in most other Mandarin civil service systems. Okay, that means you are allowed to jump around, and you get like Manjula ma'am was saying, you get to really have a taste of everything that is India and beyond India, and that is the glory of the Indian IAS. The structure of the All India services, I would like to talk a little about that. On appointment, you're allotted a particular state. Okay, in this state, it's called the state cadre. In this state, the IAS officers learn to specialize and learn the language of the state, customs, laws, etc., and pass exams in these subjects maybe sometimes. And all postings in the field, such as in the subdivision or at the district level or in this state. And then part of your career is spent in the central government. Key positions in state governments are reserved for IAS officers. So they are called cadre posts, and these posts can be held only by IAS officers. Okay, you cannot fill them up with other kinds of officers. So this is a deliberate feature of the IAS to promote quality, impartiality, integrity, and an all India outlook. Okay, this all India outlook was something very close to the heart of Vallabhbhai Patel and the original formers of the Constituent Assembly and the designers of the civil services. Thus, the secretary is in charge of departments in all the state governments, and the chief secretary, which is the head of the civil service in the state government, are always IAS officers. I'm just giving an example of the positions, the cadres that are reserved for IAS officers, which cannot be taken up by others. The next one, of course, is the Indian Police Service. This succeeded from the IP, from the British Indian again. So this was also something already available in the 1930s, 1990s onwards, before independence, but it continues as the Indian Police Service. Same Mandarin type of service, and very similar to what happens to the IAS officers. And you hold the key police positions as cadre posts in the state. Okay, for example, the Inspector General of Police or the Director General of Police, who's heading the State Department. They are designated cadre posts, and nobody else can occupy them. Then you have the Indian Forest Service, the IFS or the IFOS. That is created in independent India. It was not existing before 1947. They too are allotted to a particular state cadre, and they start careers in forest divisions and are promoted progressively to higher responsibilities. And similar to IAS officers, certain posts in the forest department are designated as cadre posts. For example, the chief conservator of forests, the principal chief conservator of forests, who's the head of the state forest department, like that it goes on. The structure of the state civil services. Now, the state civil services, they function only under the state governments. They include various services performing different administrative functions of their governments. These are all subjects allocated to the state in the constitution. Now, you heard about three lists: the concurrent list, the union list, and the state list. Those are state list. That is where the state civil services function, and they implement the policies of that the MLAs make in the state legislatures from the state list of subjects. Okay. These officers have their duties confined to the territories of their respective states. If you are, selected by the Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission, then you are restricted to the territory of the respective state of Tamil Nadu. You cannot go beyond it. Okay. Some of the civil state service officers are promoted to the All India services. Now, this is an exceptional thing that happens. So if you're selected by the TN Public Service Commission, but after serving for about say 8 to 25 years, depending on the kind of service that you do and your performance, you can get promoted to the All India services, and that can be to the IAS, IPS, or the IFS. Okay. And there is something called the Group A, B, C, and D categories. Okay. Group A, B, and C categories, and the D categories. Both the Government of India and the state categories will have Group 1, 2, 3, and 4. The Government of India will have it as Group A, B, C, and D. Okay. They are categorized into 4 groups. Group A, which includes the All India services and the central services that I earlier talked about. You know, the central secretarial services, the railway services, the military and other services. Those are all, and the engineering. Power engineering, the technical, non-technical services, they're all central services apart from the All India services. Okay, then there is Group B, C, and Group D. based on the rank, status, and degree of responsibility attached to posts. Okay, so Group A will be the highest level. Group B, C, and D in the next level. It is a hierarchy, and Group A carry higher responsibilities, include the senior management positions in the ministries and departments. And the civil service at junior level in Group A, and the staff in Group B are the middle level of the government. Okay. Civil servants in Group C, they perform supervisory functions and carry out routine tasks. The B, C, and D vary from general administration to specialized and technical functions. Now, the 6th Pay Commission declared no further recruitment to Group D, and all existing pay scales in Group D to be upgraded to Group C. And so, in a sense, Group D is abolished now. Okay. Let us look at the most interesting thing that things get more interesting as the presentation goes on. What is the role of the civil services? I'm going to talk about 3 different types of roles that you guys are going to play. One is the regulatory role. The first role that was already there when the British government was there in the ICS. But the second role is a developmental role. And the third one is a facilitative role. Okay. Now, the developmental and the facilitative roles is something that is happening as India has developed from 1947 into the 2021 era. Okay. The role of the civil services. The first thing is India created a unified administrative system by creating 2 all India services, the IAS and the IPS. Remember, the IFS was created later. The central services were also continued. Okay, they were there in the British government itself, and they were also continued and more were added. The states were to have their own civil services with a link to the all India services. This was something that was added in 1947. In essence, the basic civil service structure of the British India was continued in independent India, and the ICS was just renamed the IAS. Okay, the practice of recruiting gifted amateurs through a tough competitive exam, that was also continued. This was also there during the British times. This was also continued. Okay, what do you mean by gifted amateurs? You're not people who are specialized in a very small chunk of area, like electrical engineering alone, or power engineering, or just in civil engineering. Very, very small silos. That's not how you're specialized in. You're going to recruit gifted amateurs who are generalists spread across all kinds of subjects. That is the whole point of it. Okay. Now, independent India was a socialist, democratic, sovereign republic state, which needed civil services for development of the state. Till now, you're having to have only the regulation of the state, because it was a British imperial colonial state. And so all you needed to do was to regulate the state and keep it under control. Now, after you become independent, the new function develops, a function for the development of the state and for the welfare of the citizens. So British India was just an empire that needed to control subjects, and the British were made rich by ruling this empire. But independent India, the civil service needs formulating policies which pursue objectives specified by the political leadership. Okay, so the civil servants in the secretariat carry out this function. Already Manjula's ma'am mentioned about how you have to implement policies. So the policies are formulated by the objectives specified by the political leadership, that is your MLAs at the state level, the MPs and the ministers and the council of ministers and the prime minister and the cabinet at the central level. And these policies will have to be given shape, and the civil servants will assist in drafting the policies, and then they will have to be implementing the policies. Okay, the drafting of the policies will take place with the help of the central secretariat services, but the implementation of these policies through programs and projects. Okay, that is where the civil servants working at the field level. Okay, you're not just working at the secretariat level, you're working in the field level. There you implement the policies by translating them into schemes, programs, projects on behalf of the center and the state governments, into the districts, the taluks, the blocks, as well as at the local bodies level, such as, if you're in an urban local body, that's a corporation or a municipality. If you're the local, rural local body, that's going to be your Gram Panchayat. Okay, so right down to the local most level, the third tier of the local government, you will have to implement the programs and projects as civil servants. And this is where the whole chunk of the work and the joy of being a civil servant comes in. Okay. Now, the role of civil servants is different in a democratic sovereign welfare state. Okay, it is not like the British government, which was only doing the controlling and regulatory work. So civil services became prime instrument for carrying out welfare activities. Okay, they were settling refugees in 1947. They were meeting minimum requirements of daily lives of citizens, then safeguarding national boundaries, maintaining internal peace, translating the directive principles of state policies. Okay, and then the means or wealth of society should not be concentrated in the hands of the few. So economic justice, that became a thing that civil servants had to be in charge of. The standard of living should rise for all. Improvement of the public health for all. Free and compulsory education for all. So you see, this sample shows a big change in the role of the civil services. You're no longer robbing India in order to make England rich, but you're trying to make India develop in 100 different directions simultaneously. So the developmental function is the most important function beyond the regulatory function. For example, the second plan, it believed in industrialization was a key to reducing poverty. Once the politicians do that kind of strategic ploy, then the civil servants have to take up the work of implementing the industrialization in a very fast way. So the civil servants were put in charge of the license Raj and the system of quotas, large public sector and state control over key industries, regulation of private sector. All this gave great power to the civil servants. So that is during the 1950s, the civil servants were doing that. The third plan, okay, the second plan was industrialization. The third plan believed in the success of the Green Revolution. So that was a sellout to American capitalism in terms of agriculture, to gain self-sufficiency, because we are facing tremendous food shortage in the 1960s. Once the role of the civil servants in terms of development changed very much now in terms of how they participate in the accomplishing the Green Revolution, and it was a successful accomplishment of the Green Revolution. But as you see, the state tightening control over every aspect of economy was happening, because we are now a socialist kind of government. Now the directive principles of policy for social change was established through bringing in laws in parliament. Many progressive laws were passed, and the civil services were ones who had to implement all these laws. Thus, the regulative role was pushed aside to the background, and the development and the transformative role of civil services became more important. Guys, I want you to take notice of this. Okay, your role is not going to be static. You're not going to go sit there and say, because this is administration, I'm going to be just an administrator. You're going to have a developmental role to play, and you're going to go play a transformative role. And as you see later, you're going to play a facilitative role also. So the directive role principles were based for 5-year plans, okay, converted into 5-year plans. So the primary orientation of the civil services became developmental. Okay, so that means the transformation of the social and economic life of the villages. So 3 development blocks, with each blocks having 100 villages divided into 5 villages each, looked after by a civil servant working at the village level, in charge of developing agriculture, irrigation, roads, health, employment, housing, training, social welfare. So the role of the civil servant was very intensive during this time. Okay. Now, the civil services are now required to play a new role, that of the facilitator. Now a mix of regulatory, developmental, and facilitator roles. All 3 roles have come in now. The regulatory role is there, still there. You cannot get out of that. The developmental role was very huge during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. But as you move out towards the 1990s and India becomes a neoliberal state, we find that after the 1990s, you get into a facilitator role for the civil servant. Okay. And what we have done actually is, we have fared very well in the regulatory. The IAS officers and other officers have fared well in the regulatory role. The developmental role, we have had a mixed bag of performance. In the 2000s, India's economic growth was very impressive. Growth rate averaged at 9%. Okay. Now, how to sustain this growth rate or bring it back? That's a big challenge. How to reach its benefits to the 26% who are below the poverty line? Okay, these are the challenges that are there before the civil servants and the government. How do you improve the human development indicators? How do you build the urban-rural divide, reduce unemployment, and regional imbalances in growth? Okay, all these things are still issues for the developmental role of the civil servant. What about the facilitator role? The significant problems, okay? In the 73rd and 74th amendments that were passed, they gave power to the local bodies. If you are an urban local body, that means the municipal corporation or municipality. The rural body, it means, local body means the Gram Panchayat, and then on top of that, the Taluka level and the district level Panchayat, the Zilla Panchayat. Okay, so 3-tier Panchayat system in the rural areas. Now, you have to play a facilitator role here. in which people participate, regulate, and monitor how agreed upon things are done. Okay, no longer you are a paternalistic guy who's going there and implementing everything yourself. The people themselves, the elected panchayat, and the whole village becomes members of the adult village becomes members of the panchayat. So they learn to do their own marketing and programs. The civil servant must be a facilitator, because there are other NGOs and even corporate players who are now going to come and help out to implement the things that are planned at the district, Zilla, and local levels. Okay, that's what I told you. Many private companies and NGOs are associated with public service delivery functions now. So the civil services are important, but they cannot operate alone now. The civil services can no longer give orders to these players from the NGO sector and the corporate sector now. So you'll have to find a different way of mixing in with them. So in partnership with these players in delivering the public services. So the way citizens and elected representatives think of the role of the civil service has changed also. So there is a shrinking in the direct role of the civil services. That is how you can say that. And there is an enlarging of the role of the actual people in getting their own plans and procedures done. And the current civil service in India, we have a cultural baggage from the past. We have to build capacity in the civil services to shed that baggage and change ourselves and ensure that it is the leadership, it has the leadership to bring about that change. We need a civil services that is focused on results and not on its own internal procedures and rules. What we need are change agents and not faithful conformists. Okay, this is the biggest thing that challenge that you guys going forward into the civil services in the new 2020s will have to take up. Okay, let us talk a little about the placement of civil services. I will just say that there is a level of the department at which a single secretary heads the department. Then there are wings. A single joint secretary will head a wing. After that, the department will have many wings, and a wing will have many divisions, and usually a director or a deputy secretary is in charge of the wings, and then each in charge of the divisions. The division will have many branches, and an undersecretary is appointed to look after each branch. And now each branch will have many sections, and there will be a section officer in charge of each section of the different branches. Okay, and the section officers will have secretaries and clerical people under them. That is how it is done. How about appointments? The appointment committee of the cabinet decides the senior appointments in the government of India under the central staffing scheme. Okay, the topmost positions at the department level and at the wing level and then at the division level, they all take place by appointment by the central staffing commission. Okay, the central staffing scheme designed to fill in fresh inputs at senior levels in the policy planning, the formulation of policy, the implementation of programs from different sources like the All India Services, the Central Service Group A, etc. Okay, the services of technical and scientific personnel and professionals in the field of statistics, law, medicine, they are obtained from officers serving for specific periods on deputation, and they go back to respective cadres of a short term of India as well. Okay. Now, All India Services and the Central Service Group A cadres are posted deputy secretary, director postings of a joint secretary or special secretary or additional secretary and final secretary at the department, the topmost level at which you are posted. Okay, but postings to under secretary and below are done directly by the Department of Personnel and Training. Okay, that is not done by the special methodology. Under secretary and below who are in charge of branches and sections, that is not done by this special method. At the division level, which is above the level of the branch, for joint secretary, deputy secretary, director, the postings of the Department of Personnel and Training, they invite nominations from the state governments and other services. From this list, an offer list for each vacancy, 3 officers are shortlisted and based on past performance and suitability for post. And this list is placed before the Civil Service Board, which then recommends the names to concerned ministry department selects a candidate of those lists. So for the division level and above, these things happen at a very careful way. The wing level is even above this level. At the wing level, it is above the division level. So similar process for joint secretary, but the proposal must be approved by the appointments committee of the cabinet. Then let's go one high level at the topmost level, department level. There, the additional secretary, and recommendations are made to appointments committee of cabinet by the cabinet secretary himself, who is the topmost secretary, the topmost IAS officer in the nation. You cannot get beyond the cabinet secretary. He is the topmost post in the nation. Okay, in terms of IAS. So all the officers of the Indian services, IAS, IPS, IFS, since they participate in the central staffing scheme, they are eligible for the assignments and for which they are selected to work as joint secretary, additional secretary, secretaries in government of India. This is how the whole work opens. Okay. Now let us move on from how appointments are made to the last section on what is the real work. Okay. What is the real work that is happening here? It's all about policy entrepreneurship. Okay. I told you again and again, don't forget the word policy. It's about policy entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship means new policies that are planned, designed, and brought into being, and then they're executed. Okay. Your chief goal in this phase, I'm just going to talk, you have to adopt the policy. So at this phase of adopting the policy, more formal proposals that embody technically feasible and administrative workable, politically acceptable, legally, ethically defensible responses to any public issue or problem identified already. Okay. Now, what are the desired outcomes? Your plan, and probably more than one you will do. Then a revised proposal draft incorporating the constructive modifications that are coming from various stakeholders. Then identify necessary resources for implementing the proposal. Then clear indication that the necessary condition exists to ensure adoption and implementation. Shared mutual belief of all the involved parties achieves their goals. Okay. Now that is about planning policies, and then you go on to do implementing the policies. Introduce the adopted policies, get the commitment of key implementators, maintain the change of coalition membership and leadership as the policy keeps being implemented. See, it may take years for the policy to be implemented. You may have planned it in a 1 year, but you will implement it across 10 years, even a decade or more. And then a debugging process, where you keep fixing the bugs and keep improving the whole thing. And then maintaining the design, and then you create a new regime of policy implementation, and then make some summative evaluations of how the policy has been implemented. Then establishment and anticipation of review points, anticipate review points where things have gone wrong and where you have to make things right. And then strengthen the people and the organizations who are actually in the implementation team. Finally, I'm coming to the last point of my presentation. What about the motivation in order to do all that? Okay, what is the IAS? We found that the IAS is much more. There are central services, there are state services, there are more than 25 different services, and the IAS and IPS is only one of them. Okay, then we moved on to find out, how the placements take place in these things. We also saw what kind of functions. There are regulatory functions, there are developmental functions, and there are facilitative functions that the officers do. And then we saw that the key thing is about policy ownership and policy implementation. What is the motive for doing all that? This is where your own internal being must respond to all the challenges of the things that we have shared so far. Okay. The motivation is for cracking the UPSC at the earliest and the highest level possible. Okay, you must not only crack the UPSC at the earliest, you must also try to get the highest level of ranking possible. Okay, and then we'll cover something on the perks, rewards, and challenges. And you're going to finish there. We have said enough now for you to visualize yourself as an IAS officer. I think now you know what it is when you become an IAS officer, what you will be doing, a little picture you have. So you position yourself in that big picture painted for you. Okay, you are a wing leader, or you are a department head, or you are something, or you are a joint secretary. Visualize yourself of a particular thing. You have been appointed by the cabinet secretary. Okay, so that getting through the UPSC exam in the first or second attempt itself. You have to start preparations to take up the exam, but you have to put yourself into the big picture and already start imagining yourself as an IAS officer. Visualize yourself as an IAS officer with all the details given here and start thinking like one until you make it happen. Otherwise, you're reading your daily newspaper, a pain. But if you read the daily newspaper, in order to solve a particular policy entrepreneurship issue, then you are working at a much higher level. Okay, that is what you need to be doing. Aim for the highest rank. Whisper to yourself with a burning desire that you will get the highest rank. And fall in love with transforming the public squares of the nation. Okay, what changes that you're going to bring about to the nation? Fall in love with that. And then work on a strategic plan for study. Manjula ma'am already talked about that. I'm going to skip that and move on. Here is some more stimulation. The importance of self-study, because it's your battle finally. Okay, it's not just about the institution. You have to, mentor. You can have a mentor. You can evaluate, help navigate, and drive you to the destination. It's very good. Have a friend study circle. That is also very good. Okay, but final assessment must be by the mentor. Now, the contribution of our coaching center, where do you come in? See, we have a trainee-teacher ratio, which is very intense. And so test papers, the methodology of training, a lot of personal attention to the student. So a smaller institute where the teacher is dedicated, focused and knowledgeable and gives personalized attention is ideal. And that is why you must pick something like No Knowledge Network, where we really can help you at this point. If you're going to have 300 students and only one faculty who is addressing that, then you're really lost. You're really lost. But here we don't have those problems. Some of stimulation that Manjula ma'am talked about, the perks. As per the 7th pay commission, an IAS officer gets 56,100 rupees basic salary. Okay, that was the last detail that I had. I think it's from 2016. It might have changed now. Apart from this, these officers get many allowances, travel allowances, dearness allowance. Ma'am told you about that. As per information, an IAS officer gets around more than 1 lakh rupees as salary every month, including the basic salary and the allowances. If and when an officer gets to the post of cabinet secretary, I told you there's a highest post, then you will have a salary of 2.5 lakhs rupees per month. Okay, and an officer gets appointed at this level gets the maximum salary at this category. There are more perks. It's not just the salaries. You can live in a nice bungalow with stuff. Okay, and that is stuff of cinemas that you can see. You will also get a government vehicle for official purposes. Okay, and these vehicles with the red lights on, they're very famous. The tenure, you will have a job security that no other private job can offer. Okay, you might be in IT industry, you might be earning more than 1 lakh, but you will not get this tenure. What about the status? Your status will improve by leaps and bounds once you are an IAS. You can brush shoulders with the who's who of society. Okay? Literally be brushing shoulders with the who's who of society. Rank. You can even Prime Minister on a regular basis. Okay, everything is possible. The sky is the limit in terms of status and power. You will have legitimate power and authority. So mind you, you can actually do some good for people and society with your power. Pride, you can make your parents mighty proud of you. Of course, they will be proud even if you end up in a private job. But the IAS is an altogether different game. It's a different ball game. Well, then, legacy that you can leave behind. If you become an IAS or IFS or IPS, and use your power in the right manner, you will be remembered by future generations as one of the greats who shaped the country's future. That no private job will give you. Think of T.N. Seshan, Kiran Bedi, Sagayam, so many other names that might come to your remembrance. Okay, so the legacy that you leave behind is inordinately great. Okay, long after you're gone, you will be remembered. Then what about bills? Your bills will generally get free or highly subsidized electricity, water, gas, phone connections. All these are actually the trivials that you get for free. And what about travel? IAS officers enjoy subsidized accommodation in government guest houses or bungalows when you're on official or even non-official trips. When visiting Delhi, for example, you can avail accommodation in your state bhavans. Then you get study leaves. IAS officers go for study leaves for 2 years. They can even undergo courses at reputed foreign universities. And the cost of such courses will be undertaken by the government. Of course, there are restrictions on this facility. Only officers who have completed 7 years of service, 6 years for Northeast cadres, they are allowed this facility. But they should also sign a bond that they would serve the government in their capacity for a certain number of years after they return. But study leaves are study leaves. You can enjoy, studies in your foreign universities for 2 years. Then lifetime pension. IAS officers enjoy lifetime pension and other retirement benefits. What are these other retirement benefits? Post-retirement, what happens? See, as an officer who has retired, you can be again appointed to a commissions or tribunals. There are so many commissions and tribunals in the government of India and the state governments. You will get appointed to them in order to serve them again and serve the nation again. Their services can also be availed of in other departments of the government. And many IAS officers are also sought after by private companies for their talents. Okay, that also is there. But the greatest motivation and inspiration to become an IAS officer, as far as I know, lies in the power. You will get the charge of the administration of an entire district or a state or a department itself or ministry. Okay, that is a huge responsibility and goes with a lot of power. And many people depend on them to function effectively and efficiently. And they have the power to bring about positive changes in the lives of the people. You can influence policies on social initiatives, on education, on health, on economy, on industry, on the development of the country. Okay, what mention anything, you can influence the policies on these issues. The power to serve the people and the country is unmatched. Only the Indian Administrative Service gives the opportunity to take a direct and active part in the progress of the country. The IAS officer's salary and facilities combined with the power that he or she wields is quite overwhelming. It is overwhelming, my friends. I want to tell you, it is overwhelming. Nothing else gives you this kind of power and possibility. It also presents an opportunity to serve the country using one's talents and abilities. Okay. I will stop here. Thank you all for your rapt attention. And I'll end with that quote. When you study to be a civil servant, you study to change the lives of millions. So therefore, study harder. And that's a picture worth 1,000 words. Thank you very much for listening in. And with that, I finish my presentation and we can go on to Dr. Paul Chellakumar again.
You're muted, Dr. Paul.
I'm sorry again. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Raj, for this wonderful, informative presentation. And I just want to know the participants' mind. What does your mind say now? You've been already focused and motivated, and now by on hearing the information and the roles, and as well as the other attraction of the post, I think you are more devoted or set your mind to do this. So now we are going to have a session with us, and that is what will reflect on what happened, that what you listened, or whether any points we have not covered, whether we have not covered any points within these two presentations. Yeah, we are here to help you to clarify all your doubts, and I would appreciate you could start going on. I have some information about the program. Probably I will do this at a later stage. And now we'll go to question and answer session. Who is going to start first? Participants?
Hi, Paul. Hello.
Yeah, when you wait, please. Yeah, yes, please. Who is that?
Am I audible?
Hello.
Yeah. Martin.
Your voice is breaking, please.
So, Paul, this is for this prelims, or does it include prelims? They cover mains as well, or only prelims?
No, your voice is breaking. I'm sorry about it.
All right, now I'll just type in, sir.
Yeah, it's now. Yes, good. Yeah, please. Hello. Hello. Yeah, the other person who is ready could come in. Yes. I had a question why IFS and IAS mains exam is conducted differently. Yeah, probably Mrs. Rangarajan would cover this, please. You are
see, there are two IFSs. Do not get confused. One is the civil, which comes under the civil services examination, and that is the Indian Foreign Service. You know, you have ambassador to this country and high commissioner to that country eventually, right? So that is the Indian Foreign Service, and it is definitely under the civil services examination. It's part of the civil services examination, and depending on your rank and choice, you get the service that you choose, right? So that is the foreign service, as opposed to forest service, for which a different examination is conducted. It's not part of the civil services exam. It is an all India service because you can be posted anywhere in the state or at the center. As Dr. Abel Raj told you, it is one of the government services, but not part of the civil services. So be clear that there are two IFSs. Does it answer your question?
Yes. We'll go to the next person. Thank you, Mrs. Rangarajan.
You're welcome, sir.
The next question they
Oh,
asked, are we covering only the prelims or also the mains? We are covering only the prelims, and for mains, we'll be sending you to another IAS academy. We have a tie-up with another academy. For mains, you'll be going to another IAS academy. Right now, we are doing only prelims.
Could you please more clarify on that part, like which other academy are you referring to, and what's the offering for us as a candidate?
Yes, we have been talking and negotiating with 3-4 people, because this is our being a charity organization, and we would like to have somebody who could accommodate our students at less fee. It's not that that you would know there are hundreds of training institutions, but who are willing to help potential students. But there are hundreds of students who are very brilliant, but unfortunately they have their own family restricted resources. They cannot go. They may be forced to go for a job rather than going for these exams. So we choose according to their merit. And that is why we are negotiating, not for taking up our students, but we are asking them, requesting them to accommodate them as a lesser fee, and also with this full scholarship or off scholarship. That's it's rather difficult for us to tell it, and we will be able to give this information within maybe after a month or so.
Thank you, Paul, on clarifying.
Yeah, please. How to balance college academic and the UPSC
And also
preparation,
further
madam?
to add on that, this sending us to different academy.
Sorry?
Tansin, could you put it in your chat, the question that you
and all this new tying up with another academy, and 40 days on from my
How to yes. How to balance? Yeah, sir, I got all this right now. Yes, Joshua Matthew. It's a different question, not suitable to this platform. How does a civil servant face political pressures and ethical issues like corruption? Actually, recent news of Samir. Oh no, this is not the platform, and we are here for a different purpose, to motivate the candidates who are motivate the aspirants, civil service aspirants. So I'm sorry. This is so probably you can personally ask somebody else how to study for long hours consistently. There are times, that's why like a mother, Mrs. Rangarajan, finally closed this with a very, very affectionate note that you will have to take care of your health. And so that's important. So probably avoid junk food, and your sleep is important. Have sufficient sleep. See a stated that somebody slept over at the exam. So it's up to you, as clearly put forth in the information and the presentation. It's your exam, it's your future. You have to take care of yourself. Nobody is going to help you. Maybe on your health point, your mother will be able to help you, but she cannot come to the examination hall to hold you. It's mud. You are young enough to hold that pressure. Definitely, you are young enough to hold the pressure. Now, we are in a very, very high competitive world. If you look at that, if you look at the +2 syllabus and all, how the students are taking the load, I think that's the thing. Is it possible to cover all?
If I may just add, Joshua, is
Please,
it?
please. Yeah.
Joshua, you're talking about how you may not have concentration and mood to study your thing. The thing is, see, you have to study a lot. It's not like somebody is telling you that unless you study 18 hours, you won't make it. The thing is that there is so much to study and there is so much information out there. And when you take the exam, there's so much that you need to know that you necessarily have to spend that kind of hours. It's not like a hard and fast rule. If you're a person who can study less number of hours but still gather all that information that is required, so be it. And so concentration, if you're going to lose concentration, if you're not going to stay focused, and if you're not going to be in the mood, then you have to find out why it is happening and you have to tackle that problem. I do not know if you believe in meditation and yoga. You could do that. Those things really calm you down big time, and they will help you refocus on whatever you're trying to do. If it becomes, this is the general thing with everybody and anybody, right? If you at any point of time and lose concentration, then you have to move away for a little while, get your equanimity back, and get calm again, and then you have to get back to this, because losing concentration and saying, oh, I'm not able to study and I don't want to study, and as if somebody is forcing you to do it. Please remember, taking the civil services exam is your decision, and you have to do whatever it takes to see it through. So you should not be worried too much about concentration, because you have a goal in mind and you are very keen to achieve the goal. It will happen. So anytime you lose concentration, you can probably step outside for a minute and see, listen to some music, maybe eat something that you like. You can have a cup of tea, sit and watch the green trees, things like that. Those things really, really, really help. So you should do things like that. And if I don't know, in Buddhism, Buddha says this, that for every problem, there is a solution out there. You only have to find it. There is no problem without solution. Okay? So this is what you got to do. I hope that helps.
Yes, that's good. Wonderful. Yeah. There was a question from Manjula Madam. Can you just read out Mr. Raj?
Let me check this out. You talked about some magazines. Could you please mention their names? All right, Jayashri, if you have a pencil handy, then write them down. These are the magazines that I remember reading. So, and I believe that they are still pretty much current. So, listen, I think I've written this down. So, yeah, this is published by the Publications Division of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, if I'm not very mistaken, Government of India. It's called Yojana, 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 that is development. Okay. Then there is Kurukshetra. Then there is the Economic and Political Weekly. All right. And we also used to read the Competition Master, Competition Success Review kind of magazines. Monthlies they used to be. And the Ministry of Finance, Government of India publishes the economic survey. I would strongly recommend that. It's a fantastic document, really, really. So just before the budget it is presented, you should be able to read that. Have you written those things down? I hope that helped. Good luck. NCERT textbooks, they are also great import. Okay, welcome.
The books are also available in the
book room that Shankar IAS Academy hosts next to Sundara Medical Foundation in Anna Nagar in Shanti Colony. So you can just drop in there. You can pick up as many of the Kurukshetra and Yojana. They will not have Economic and Political Weekly, but I think you can subscribe to Economic and Political Weekly directly. But otherwise, these other magazines are available there for off-the-shelf purchase. And there are, if you want to buy your NCERT books also, you're welcome to go there and buy there also. Because all the relevant NCERT books will be kept in stock usually throughout the year by Shankar IAS Academy. It's a bookshop that they own, but it is available for everybody to go and purchase. I would strongly recommend that you can start off with your...
very reasonably priced, and they are very, very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Extremely informative.
Dr. Manjula, Mrs. Manjula, there's many people have asked as to when they should start preparing. They're in school or first year of college.
All right. So for the kids who are still in school, as in 10th standard and 12th standard, I have two things to say. First, you need to clear your school exams before you go on to degree, because the basic minimum requirement is graduation, right? And you cannot take up graduation unless you finish school. So please do concentrate on your school exams. Having said that, I would like to add that what you could definitely do for the preparation is start paying attention, start reading newspapers. General studies is all the oceans put together in the world. It is larger and deeper and wider than that. There is so much information in general studies that it can take a lifetime and you're still learning. So what you can do is, those who are in still school, etc., you start reading newspapers, listen to the news, keep up to date. Current affairs, if you are up to date on current affairs from now onwards, you will be unbeatable. 10th standard, then we are looking actually at 2 more years in school and 3 years in college, and 5 years, your general studies will bear a level. So you can start by doing that. The second thing you can do is for the IAS, if you're going to prepare for the civil, and you are very keen on the civil services, be very smart in the choice of your subject. But remember this, you should always have a backup. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, always you must have that. So you should pick a subject for your graduation, which will help you do one of the optionals. All right. So you should definitely consult with your parents and your teachers, people who are, your well-wishers, and be guided by them in this regard. So preparation is like that. Likewise for graduates, I would say this, you have to go a little ahead of that. Apart from general studies, you can start working on those, the kids, school kids who are in 10th standard, etc., who want to prepare. All your NCERT textbooks, whatever, or your school SCERT textbooks, start looking at them from a different perspective, not just to write the exam and clear, but you should absorb the knowledge. Why does the fan stop spinning? Inertia of momentum, you're thinking about it, it has to be applied in your, so whatever. So if you have to start looking at everything from the point of view, why is this happening? And is this the principle thing you can do? The subject that you have taken, see if it will help you in your civil services, and pay a lot of attention to that along with the general studies. so that when it comes to mains, that one subject is taken care of, the other subject possibly will be a new subject. Because except for somebody who has done social sciences, say like me, I had sociology and psychology. I also had the, some other options, philosophy, etc. But most people don't have that option. So it becomes easier if one of the subjects is something you have already studied and you can build on that. Okay. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manjula. That was very informative.
Yeah, can I take the next question, please? Yes. If there is no question, probably I will cover a few points based on the telephone calls and clarifications we received, and we will go from there, and probably we will conclude the webinar. See that some of the questions raised were whether it's online or offline. It's going to be online, but for those who are in Chennai, we are planning to hold classes on Saturday. That's Saturday morning. So please understand, I'm happy to see and know there are some candidates who have already taken prelims, so they also are willing to join us. That is fine, and we have already received around quite a number of applications, and if we will be replying to every application, even if you are not selected. But if you don't receive any information from us before next Saturday, please call us and check with us. And the application deadline we have, that is December 10th. And please understand, the scholarship we give to all merit-oriented students whose family income is less than 3 lakhs a year. And on the merit side, they should have at least 75% plus. That they qualify the graduation. Or those who are in third year, if you had made in first year, second year in a good grade, we'll be happy to consider. At the same time, we also offer partial scholarship. We could give that, and that's going to be very helpful. And I think we are likely to put the webinar in our website within a couple of days. And those who have anything to clarify or revise this and see, you can do that. You can share that with your friends. And yes, and probably we are going to have a next session within the Slack, and maybe by next Saturday, God willing, and you will be kept informed. And I understand some of those registered for the webinar, they are not, because even this morning I have received a few calls. I have not received a link. When I told them, please check your email, and if you don't have, please call me or text me, I will send you. But they called and said, sir, it's in the mail. Because that means they haven't checked the mail. And we have sent it 3-4 days ago, and with the reminder of yesterday. So please understand, and we are here to help you. If you have any doubts or clarification, remember, we are here to help you. It is not the regular thing. It's not a project. We are working on it, or it's purely to help students who are keen to crack civil services. And the number game, and the number was clearly explained by Mrs. Rangarajan. I understand only 2% of those who appear, they make it. So this you had enough now. So in case you need, if your parents or anything you want to clarify, feel free to call me, and I'll be happy to answer any clarification. And you might, in the mail we sent, I think we have given Mr. Abel Roy's number also. Please feel free to, but please maintain the deadlines. And even if you lack 1 or 2 documents, please send it, and you will file it subsequently. And if you haven't heard anything from us within next 1 week or maximum 10 days, please feel free to call us. And I take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Rangarajan for the time. I feel guilty, Mrs. Rangarajan, for the time.
No, please.
I know, but still I am a traveler. I've been used to traveling. And you are there on your holiday or whatever it is. Thank you very much. And this is only a beginning. We will certainly keep troubling you. And thanks for your support. And it's wonderful to have you with us. And
I
all
just
our
have one thing to say, sir, before you
Yes.
say Janaganamana.
Please.
Paul Rishi has been asking a question about which paper is better, Hindu or the Indian Express. I have this to say about newspapers. See, all these major newspapers report the news, right? So it doesn't matter which newspaper you read. Whatever your family buys should be good enough for you. Mainly it is the editorials which make a difference. All right. The editorials will show you the leanings of the basically the newspaper. So in that regard, I would go ahead and read as many editorials as possible, because for the same news item, there will be different perspectives that they will give. That may be very useful, but you can progress to it a little later after you get into the flow of reading newspapers. As I understand now, people are not greatly into reading, let alone reading newspapers. Once you get into the habit and you are able to sort of start doing a little bit of speed reading on some of the news items, then you can progress to a bigger thing. Otherwise, 19-20 का फर्क है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. You can just go ahead and read whichever newspaper that you want to read. All right. Hindu, Express, Times of India, depending on where you are living and what that city or town distributes. All right.
Wonderful.
I hope that helps.
I have one more thing to add, madam. Chennai
Yes, sir.
Indian Express, once a week, they give some old questions related to civil service. I think some they cover once a week. I'm not sure whether they are still there, and I need to check. I used to go through that, so that's what I'm sharing. That's fine. And people now I got a question. Somebody asked me how to apply. Please go to our website, knowknowledgenetwork.org, and you have a session to our application. You file the application with supportive document, and that's it. That's very easy. It's online, and if necessary, we will call for a personal interview. And if any document is lacking or missing, then we will inform you to set it right. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Julia, thank you very much. I think you also sacrificed your sleep. And
No. It was real good Zoom
yeah,
meeting,
yes,
webinar,
yes.
and very
Thank you.
informative and
Useful. Yeah. We also learned. Yeah, truly. Mrs. Rangarajan, we also learned something.
Dr. Paul, somebody asking about somebody's asking about the fees.
Yeah, fees. Those who are not eligible for the scholarship, we charge just 30,000 rupees preliminary, and we also try to get at least 50% scholarship for the main exam for those who pass. We are exploring whether we could sponsor it freely to somebody, but it's too early for us to tell. We will do that. We have few sponsors with us. They are willing to help students like you. We will see. Otherwise, we collect 30,000 rupees fees for the whole preliminary course, because we do have cost to be met, and that's fine. And please file your applications. And yeah, let us see. Anything else you can call and do, clarify with us. Please feel free to mail. If you want to mail, please address that to secretary at knowknowledgenetwork.org. So, is there any question? We don't want anyone to go without with any doubts. Please clarify, because we have the authorities with us, so you can make use of it. Otherwise, we will have to wind up by just simple thanks to everybody. It's I don't think we have the system of our national anthem, so we'll have to. She said she just mentioned Janaganamana, so that's fine. Can we close the session, please?
Somebody has asked offline or online.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Anything left out? Once
So
again.
we will be mostly doing an online program for now, for this batch for January. Depending on Corona, then we can think of
Somebody
face-to-face
outstation.
classes later.
Yeah, someone from outstation asked, you're most welcome. We can do online. Only for those who are in Chennai, we help them. It's not a question of
So that means those who are not living in Chennai, they are very much welcome to apply and join the course, and you will be getting an online delivery system completely. End-to-end online delivery system across 5 months till your prelims. All the support will be done online. So you are welcome to apply if you are not living in Chennai.
Yeah, but you are not going to miss anything. We are going to meet on Saturdays and revise what we have studied. You will do at home. So please, please remember, you are not going to miss anything. And you are also the same thing as we have students in Chennai. We are going to revise the whole week what we've done. We also probably, I don't know, Mr. Raj should help me with that. Do we give them some assignment or anything to revise things for Saturdays?
No, we don't have any assignments, sir. We will have our classes and our tests regularly every day. That will be happening, and that is applicable to online. So whether you're outstation or whether you're in station, there is no difference, because this will keep constantly happening. Unless if you're in Chennai, you want to drop in and have some extra face-to-face sessions, you're welcome to do so. But otherwise, there is no difference between somebody sitting in Coimbatore and taking the online course and somebody sitting in Chennai and taking the online course, because it's going to be very similar. The tests are also going to be given online.
Yeah, okay, fine. Even some of the institutions, somebody asked me about the COVID situation, and most of the training institutes, the big training institutes, they give the option open to them. It's not mandatory. Even those who are in Chennai, you come to class, otherwise you just read it online, because it's the online training they give. And we have a plan. We have some of those who are taken preliminary already. We can work out something like a group discussion. They may be able to help with their experience into, what to do, what not to do. Anything else? Yeah, probably I request our Dean, Dr. Daisy Dharmarajan, to conclude that, saying whatever she could.
Hello, students. I hope this session was useful to you. Mrs. Manjula was there in person to virtually to tell you what it means and the practical hints you heard. And Abel Raj took you through the entire journey to understand what IA is. And yeah, we as a network look forward to working with you. Our idea is to help you to achieve your dreams. Yeah, do feel free to apply to us, call us, check our website. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Mrs. Manjula, Abel, Julia, Dr.